You're welcome to another English class. I remain your teacher, Opeifa Olasunkanmi. And today, in this video, we are going to be looking at a special topic, that is grammatical names and functions. Yes, grammatical names and functions. And in it, we have broken it into series. We are going to be having about 4 to 5 series. Okay, and at the end of the series, we are going to sing a song on grammatical names and functions, the one composed by me and my students. So, in this particular video, we want to just establish a very good foundation for our knowledge of grammatical names and functions. Okay, and then what is that basic thing that you need to know? Now, is that thing that you need to know to separate to separate between the phrase and the clause. And you know what I'm talking about. That is that unique thing that is different between the phrase and the clause, which is the finite verb. And we are going to be laying that foundation today, but we are starting from the very beginning. So let's move on as we enjoy the class. Yes, the basic thing that separates a phrase from a clause is what? The verb. So what is a verb? A verb is a word that shows an action, it shows a process, and it shows a state of being. That is what a verb is. A verb shows an action, it shows a process, and it shows a state of being. I know you have so many other examples of verbs coming to your mind now. You are saying do, you are saying come, you are even finding a verb from different perspective from your own mind. Okay, give me your own examples as I also produce mine here too. I have do, I have work, I have build, is, have, may, etc. So many examples there. Okay, but we are not, this is just to establish a foundation. So that is what a verb is. Now let's go. Here now, let's look at types of verbs that we have. The verb is that very special part of speech that has varying types of varying types. Okay, we have it as it all depends on the categories you are talking about. It doesn't depend on the criteria that you want to use. You can have it as lexical verbs and auxiliary verbs based on the main verb and the helping verb. You can also have it as tense and aspect based on whether it's responding to time or not. We can also have it as transitive verbs and intransitive verbs based on whether it has an object after it or not. Then it can be categorized into regular verbs and irregular verbs. We are talking about how the inflections ed is used. If we have ed in the past and the past participle, all those ones, we call it regular. If it is not that way, we call it irregular. Okay, and but that's not where we are going. This is the topic we just want to look at now. We want to look at finite verbs and non-finite verbs because this is the particular thing that separates a phrase from a clause. So let's go into it now. What are finite verbs and what are non-finite verbs? And once we establish this one, it will be easier for us to define a phrase, define a clause, go into types of phrases and types of clauses. So let's move on. Finiteness. What is a finite verb? Let's take this. A finite verb has a tense and a subject. Yes. A finite verb responds to time. A finite verb also has a doer. A finite verb can be in past tense, can be in present tense, and can be in future tense. That is what we mean by it has a tense. And a finite verb is carried out by a noun. You can always link it to a noun. So there's always a relationship between the subject and the verb if your verb is a finite verb. And if it's a finite verb, it can either be in past tense or present tense or future tense. Okay, so let's take some examples to know how to identify a finite verb. Look at this first example here. Nelson started his grammar lesson early today. Nelson started his grammar lesson early today. The verb of focus here is started. The verb of focus here is started. You can see it there. And it has a subject. And who is the subject? Nelson. It's also in the tense. And what's the tense? Past tense. If you want to test it, do you know what? There are so many EDs, ING that you can see that can actually confuse you. What you are supposed to do in such a situation is just to change the tense. If the verb changes, then it is a finite verb. So let's test one here. Let's take it into present tense then by removing today to everyday. We say Nelson starts his grammar class early every day. You can see now that we still have a correct expression and then started has changed to start. So it shows that started is a finite verb. Another example here is this. Informal or informal succeeds in everything. Informal succeeds in everything. The verb of focus here is succeeds. Our verb here is succeeds. Who succeeds? Informal. That is the subject. And then, do we have a tense here? Yes, this is simple present tense. We can take it into past tense. Informal succeeded in everything. Informal will succeed in everything. So that is how to know. So we agree here now that started up here is a finite verb and succeed here is also a finite verb. So let's take another example. We have a series of examples here now. The road to success is full of challenges. Our verb here that we want to focus on is is. Do we say is a finite verb? Okay, let's see whether it has a subject. Yes, the road to success is the subject. We can actually change this to past tense. The road to success was full of challenges. So you may be narrating a story. Let's say you're narrating a story of this veteran actor Mike Bamiloye, and you are saying, yes, the road to success for him was full of challenges. You can see now that these are things to say in your day-to-day conversation. You use it daily, so you have it. It's just for you to know that, okay, you use a finite verb to relate with the subject and then to show time. Also, let's look at this. When we arrived Lagos. When we arrived Lagos, the verb here is arrived. Oh, I know you are saying this is not a complete sentence. So it's not even a sentence anyway. It is a subordinate clause. But the point is, do we have a verb here? Yes. Is the verb a finite verb? Yes, because it has a tense which is in past tense, and it has a subject which is we. So arrived is a finite verb. Let's see more examples. As soon as the chit chat ended, this is another subordinate clause that has the verb ended and it has a subject, chit chat, and then is in past tense. Then finally, let's look at this. He has run to the bus that brought them. Here we have a verbal phrase. In a verbal phrase, we only need one verb, that is the auxiliary verb, to change according to subject, according to time. Okay, has is in present perfect tense. Okay, that's present perfect tense. We can put it in past perfect by saying had. He had run to the bus that brought them. Is changing. So what we have here is a finite verb, and moreover, we have the subject he. And let's look at the second one, brought. Is this a finite verb? Is there a subject here? Brought. Brought is carried out by bus. The subject of brought here is but, and it has a pronoun also. A pronoun is a word used to represent or used instead of a noun, but this is a relative pronoun. So the pronoun here now is equally standing for bus here. So brought is in past tense and it has a subject. So far we've looked at a finite verb, and we have seen that a finite verb will have a tense and will have a subject. So let's see non-finite verb. In non-finite verb, you will agree with me that non-finite verb has no tense and no subject. So we have series of examples here now. For the sake of this class, we've written all the words out. I mean, we have a full sentence here so that we can relate and compare, because it helps you understanding better when you compare a non-finite verb with finite verb in a sentence so that you would know. So let's look at what we have here now. Standing on a tall chair, he saw clearly. We have standing as a verb, we have saw as a verb. So which one is a finite verb, which is a non-finite verb? Here now we have standing has no subject. Standing has no tense. How do I know? Let's change the time. The time here is past tense because of saw. So let's change it now to present tense. Oh, standing. Oh, you say it's in present tense. Then we are going to take it to future tense later. Standing on a tall chair, he sees clearly. You can see that only saw changed. Standing did not change. Okay, let's take it into the future. Will standing on a tall, of course, that doesn't make sense. Student, of course, it no sense there. So invariably what we are saying is that standing here is a non-finite verb. So let's go to the next one. We have how to do it was difficult. What we have here is in past tense because of was. Then we have another verb, do. Can we say this do is a finite verb? Is there a subject there? Who do? Nobody. Who do? All right, nobody. There is nobody carrying out this action. Okay, and then we have was that has a subject it. Let's take it to present tense now. How to do it is very difficult. Was has changed. Do remain the same. So when your verb doesn't respond to change in time and change in subject, then your verb is a non-finite verb. So do here is a non-finite verb. So let's move on now quickly. So he comes. He likes cooking. He likes cooking. We have likes, we have cooking. Of course, you'll agree with me now that cooking is the non-finite verb, because by the time we change this now, he likes cooking to past tense, we are going to have he liked cooking. Cooking remains the same thing. He will like cooking. That's future tense. Cooking still remains the same thing. So cooking here has no subject and is not responding to time. It's actually called a gerund. A gerund here. Okay, all the other ones also have their own names too, but I don't want us to bother ourselves with names and types. Okay, no exams we ask you what is a gerund, what is this. We just want the application. So we are getting there now. And then the final example I have here before we have series of activities now is we get our car fixed. Fixed here is our non-finite verb because it doesn't have a tense. It does not have a subject. Yes, don't think car is the subject. It is not. Car is the object of get. Okay, and it's standing as a noun phrase by adding our car. But we are not going there now. So what we have here now is we get our car fixed at home. Let's change it to past tense. We got our car fixed at home. We will get our car fixed at home. So changing the time, fixed remain fixed. So it shows it's a non-finite verb. So let's see this. Let me test you with this. Try and do this yourself. Yes. Oh, don't mind this dog. It won't bite you. Okay. So let's see what we have as a sentence here now. Sighting a dog, he changed his direction quickly. Yes. Let's change the expression. This is in past tense, right? If you take to present tense, sighting will still remain sighting. Change will have changed to present tense to what changes. So we have something like sighting the. I guess this will be fine. Okay, sighting the dog. Okay, sighting now a dog, it remains the same thing. He changes his direction. So change can change to changes, and then it equally has a subject. Who is changing? Okay, it is he. It has a subject too. So we can say that sighting is a non-finite verb, while sighting, yes, is a non-finite verb, and let me put it as F. It's a non-finite verb, and then while changed is a finite verb for me here. Okay, it's a finite verb. So let's see other activities and then let's work together this time around now. I believe you've gotten the knowledge, so let me test your knowledge now. So let's have series of non-finite and finite. I have this first example. Look at this word broken. You can actually say it's a finite verb and it's a non-finite verb, of course. But when you have it in context, then you can decide exactly what you want. So look at this other one too, was amended. This is a verbal phrase. Can we say this verbal phrase is finite or non-finite? So let's put flesh now. The broken door was amended last week. Okay. Let's remove last week now and make it into present tense. Can we have the breaking door? Of course, that would be grammatically wrong. So once it is not, cannot change, it is not a finite verb. So the broken door is amended, okay, regularly. The broken door is amended regularly. So what we have here, only was amended, can be said to be a finite verb. Was amended is a finite verb, while broken is a non-finite verb. I think we even have it here now. Okay, it's a non-finite verb, while broken is a finite. Well, broken is a non-finite verb, while was amended is a finite verb. Thank you. So let's take another example. The villagers. Oh, haven't I corrected this? Please, I beg your pardon. I thought I did. The villagers. Oh, this can be cleaned with this. Okay, let me use this. The villagers. Please, this is wrong. It is not the villagers visit. It is the villagers visit. So I'm going to remove the S now. Okay, yeah, thank God it's working now. Okay, please, that's a typographical error there. So the villagers visit the palace to greet the king once in a year. The villagers visit the palace to greet the king once in a year. We have visit and we have greet. It's in the present tense. So let's take into past tense now. The villagers visited. Can you see? Visited changed. Visited, it shows is a finite verb. Okay, let's see the second one. The villagers visited the palace to, of course, you will not say to greeted. You won't say to greeted, okay? Even if we take it to the future tense, it won't change too. So we agree that visit here is a finite verb, and then greet is a non-finite verb. And the last one here, he escaped being lynched. We have two verbs here. Escaped as a subject, he, remember, is in past tense also. So we agree it's a finite verb. Being lynched is a verbal phrase together, yet it is still non-finite verb, because by the time you change it into past tense or future, being lynched remain the same. So when your verb changes according to subject, as a subject, and in response to the subject, there's a concord, there's a relationship or agreement between the subject and the verb. Fine, that's one of the ways of knowing that it is a finite verb. When your verb too can also respond to time, to tense, present, past, and future, you also say it's a finite verb. I think we've come to the end of the class. Thank you so much for listening. So please, if you are watching this now, please kindly encourage us by clicking like. You can equally drop your questions or comments. Encouraging comments too wouldn't be bad for us to know that we are doing well, and when we want to also get better. You can also drop your observation too. We'll be glad to respond to whatever you drop favorably. And then please share with everyone around you, share with your colleagues, share with your friends, share with students around. Let them also learn from us. And at the same time, please join our family. We are a family of champions. One teacher, one topic. Please kindly subscribe to our channel, okay? And you are going to learn a lot, not just English language alone, but other subjects from primary 1 to SS3. Thank you very much. I remain your friend, Opeifa Olasunkanmi.